Welcome. Thank you for attending today's webinar. I think we're going to go ahead and get things rolling so we can stay on time as much as possible. Not going to get so far into it that people that are still joining us in a couple minutes won't be able to catch up. So wanted to make sure that I said hello and welcome and thanks for joining us. Um, my name is Carey Scott, and I am the Managing Director of Client Services here at Evolved Office. And I'm so excited to talk to you today a little bit about getting creative with AI. So, lots to discuss here, lots to go over, and we'll get this thing started. So, thank you again. Okay, so this is actually the second part in an AI series that we are doing. It's 5 different topics, and this is the second one. We started with mastering AI commands, which was great. We got some really great feedback on that webinar. And thank you to those of you who attended that one and came back for more. That's amazing. It was great to see your names pop up, so we really appreciate that. If you missed it and maybe after this want to take a look and see what the Mastering AI Commands is all about, you can find that on Evolved Office's YouTube channel. So I really invite you to go check that out maybe after today's webinar. So feel free to do that. Today, again, we're going to talk about getting creative with AI. I think that is going to be so fun for us to talk through. I'm really excited about giving this topic a go and sharing some tips and tricks with you. Notice that next we have how teams can leverage AI in this series. We're going to discuss those individual teams, right? So things like sales, customer support, marketing, and even how C-level employees can double down and use AI to streamline tasks and get things done. We'll go beyond content next and talk about business fundamentals like strategy building and goal setting, that kind of thing. And lastly, we'll discuss how humans are not actually replaceable. We want to go ahead and really dive into some of the limitations and risks with AI and how we can navigate those waters because they're new, right? And so it needs to be talked about. But today, we're going to talk all about creativity. So let's dive in and look at the agenda for today. Okay. First, we're going to discuss how AI is a catalyst for creativity. It's not a replacement for it. It is a catalyst for creativity. Next, we're going to talk about idea generation and brainstorming and some tips that are really going to help you get the most out of your AI sessions and really get those creative juices flowing. And from there, we're going to follow up with what I'm calling rapid fire grab bag of use cases, right? They're not all going to apply to everyone here, but the goal is to kind of inspire you and so you can walk away kind of itching to test out some of these ideas. So we're going to go through a lot of different examples of that. And they're specifically going to relate to dealers and MSPs, right? Those use cases. So how can you, in this space, really leverage AI to your advantage? We'll bring it all together with a quick overview of EO's AI tool, EO Scribe, and how it can help facilitate some of the use cases that I'm going to review. So looking at our own tool and showing you how you can leverage that, spending a couple slides on that. And then lastly, we're going to wrap it up and have some time for some questions. So buckle your seatbelts. Let's get into it, right? Let's go. So AI as a creative catalyst. First, let's address the elephant in the room, and that is that being creative is hard. It's not easy, especially when you have a time frame or a deadline lurking in the background. It can be really challenging to be creative on the spot. And that's where AI can really come in and help you get to the finish line faster than doing it by yourself. Remember that AI is a tool, right? It's not meant to replace your own individual creativity or your input even into ideas or tasks that you're going to use the AI to get you there. It's not replacing that. It's a tool. It's meant to get you there faster with better end products. So it is a creative catalyst for idea generation and brainstorming, fresh ideas, new approaches, trend analysis even, some creative suggestions, and some inspiration to really start getting you to think outside of the box, right? We all have limitations when it comes to creativity. We have our own lens with which we view the world, which can be limiting and frankly, it can be subjective, right? So AI helps us expand what's possible by providing some objective suggestions that remove that lens. But, and this is a big one, it's not meant to replace your actual brain, right? So you have to work with AI to get the results you need. Its outputs and ideas are only as good as what you feed it. So we'll talk about that with some tips on how to get that done. The big thing is to remember that AI has access to the entirety of the internet. So think of it as your assistant that can do hundreds or thousands of Google searches and collate all of that data and making it meaningful, but by searching through those results and providing that meaning to you quickly. But at the same time, you have to think about that assistant as a sixth grader. I mentioned this in our first webinar in the series as well. It's gonna do the bare minimum. It's gonna do the bare minimum to pass the class as a sixth grader, right? So the more input that you give it, the better responses you're going to get. You have to provide clear details of ultimately what you want to help get you to that finish line faster. And that's what I mean by AI being a creative catalyst. You don't need to sit and spin your wheels like this poor guy, right? Or spend tons of time. Just let the tool help you do what it's designed to do. So let's move into a few tips that are actually going to set you up for success and help you get the most out of AI when it comes to idea generation and brainstorming. Now, first is to be specific. Include your industry, include your audience in your prompt to give context and set the conditions for what you're asking AI to do. So if you think about, hey, I need ideas for a social media campaign, it's going to land different depending on what the product is, or if you're selling to an audience of boomers versus millennials, or if you're in Oregon or if you're in Texas. The context here matters, and you're going to get better results if you're actually telling and being specific your AI tool exactly what you are and setting those parameters for it. Another thing is to set clear goals and objectives. What are you actually trying to do? Are you trying to enhance something that already exists and make it a little bit better? Do you need to make sense of data to improve on a campaign? Do you need solutions to a particular problem and need to get some ideas out of your AI tool? You got to let it know, and it'll give you what you want as long as you're telling it and feeding it that information. Now, that's not to say if you input a prompt that says, give me some ideas about fill in the blank, XYZ, whatever it is that you want, it's going to give you results, right? But the goal here is that if you want really good, solid outputs, is to set the tone by including some of the indicators that are going to help you get to the finish line faster, right? So set the tone of what you're looking for and provide that context, that detail, the nuance, and the scope of what you're looking for to get the best results. So if you say, give me some ideas about X, Y, or Z, if you're thinking about a target here, you're going to land on the target, but you want to get as close to that bullseye as possible, as quickly as possible. The context helps really provide those parameters to your tool. Include the specifics in your prompts, and it'll set you up for success. Okay, we're going to talk about tip number 2, and I'm calling this feed the machine, right? So this kind of goes hand in hand with being specific, but the idea here is to provide data in your queries, in your prompt, so that it's getting as much detail as possible about what you ultimately want and can provide the best possible answer or results to you. The big thing is to remember that AI can read URLs. It can read Excel spreadsheets and make sense of the data. It can read PDFs or Word documents. So upload those documents, that data, and feed it to the machine, feed it to AI so that it can make sense of that data and provide some meaningful insights and some meaningful feedback to you. Give it all of the information that you have and then let your AI tool run with it. Let it do its thing. So here are some examples of that. You upload a PDF and you can say, I really like the tone and examples used in the attached PDF. Help me brainstorm a few ways that I can apply this to our annual report, a marketing piece, a campaign that we're doing, a proposal, whatever that piece is. So if you like something, it's okay to just say, hey, I like how this is phrased. Can you use this and apply it to this new piece that I'm creating? Something to consider is that if you are anything like me, I hope I'm not projecting, but sometimes you just know what you like, but it's really challenging to identify why you like it, right? You say it like, oh, I really like the look and feel of this, but it's hard to itemize that and explain exactly that you like the sans serif text and the minimalist design. Like, who has time for that? You don't have to with AI. You don't have to identify the why you like it. You just have to say, hey, I do like this. Can you create something similar, right? Here's another example of a prompt. Attached are last month's rules and results for a contest we held for our sales reps to promote friendly competition among those reps and generate some revenue. What are 3 ideas we can implement this month to gamify the sales process and generate even better results, right? So this is what we did last time. These were the results. How can we do this better for this quarter or this month, right? You can even take this further and say, hey, we have a $500 budget for the winner or top 3 performers. What should we do with that budget? Or we have a $0 budget. What can we do to inspire our team with no financial reward, right? So take AI's expertise and ability to scour the rest of the internet, take that information and apply that and let it help you think of ideas. The possibilities are going to be only limited but by what you feed the machine. So give it the data that you have access to, whether that is campaign results or previous proposals that you've written that need to be updated and modernized. Like, ask it, how do we do this? What are some things that are missing from this? And let it analyze what you feed it, including those data spreadsheets. Why are you analyzing the data spreadsheets? Let them do it. Let AI do it for you, right? So feed the machine to get the best possible results here. Okay. Tip 3 is to leverage data and trends, right? So sometimes you don't have anything to feed the machine, right? You don't have an Excel spreadsheet that has tons of data for it to read, or you don't exactly have a piece that you really like and want to emulate for a new proposal, whatever that is. Sometimes you're just kind of starting from scratch, and that's okay because AI has access to large amounts of data sets, and it can reveal kind of emerging industry trends and customer preferences to help you get to where you need to go faster. So if you don't have anything to upload, let it do the research for you. You just have to tell it what kind of research you want. And one way is to kind of look at market trends and analysis and say, hey, what's working right now? It's almost 2025. What do we need to do to stay ahead of the competition and to be creative? Let it tell you. Let it scour the internet, do all the Google searches, consolidate the information, and tell you what works, what is proven to work best. So ask it, what's the best way to convert new customers? Give it your audience, give it your industry, and ask what's going on, what's trending in social media that drives engagement in 2025. You know, here's my competitor's URL. What are they doing that we're not doing to make them more successful? Here's my URL. Do a little competitive analysis, right? You have options here. You just have to tell it what you need, and it'll do the research for you. Data-driven insights is kind of a buzzword these days. It's all, basically all about letting data drive your decision making, and it can absolutely apply to creativity as well. We're not being creative in our own personal spaces. This isn't us doing art in our basement, right? This is about us being creative within the parameters of business. And so let some of the data drive your decision on how to leverage your creativity for best results. AI can make some of those suggestions, um, and be successful as far as, this is these content formats, this topic or these tactics, whatever it is. This has worked for other people. This is a suggestion for you when it comes to this new venture that you're going on. Um, and it really ensures that your creative ideas align with what's resonating in the market. So you're closer to on target and you're not just, throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. This is a premier example of work smart, not hard. You don't have the time to do the research, the data analysis that comes with it to see what's going to work what best. Let the AI tell you what's best, and then you can apply that to your new campaigns, whether you're in marketing or strategy building for those fundamentals of business building, whatever that is. Let AI kind of give you the data-driven insights to make informed decisions on how to be creative and really reach your audiences. Um, this works in every aspect of your business, from service to sales to just regular B2B marketing. It can be as broad or as nuanced as you want it to be. You just have to tell it what you want, and AI is going to do the rest. Okay, tip 4, and this is our last tip before we hit those rapid fire examples. I spoke about being iterative in our last webinar on AI, but it bears repeating here. You have to refine your prompts along the way with your AI tools. It's going to be really a rare occasion that your first response is going to be perfect, right? Particularly when it comes to idea generation and creativity. That's why brainstorming is a group effort, right? It's a conversation, and it's meant to be collaborative between you and your AI tool. To get the best results, you've got to expect some back and forth. One tip that I really like, and I use quite often actually, is to initially ask for five to eight possible suggestions on a question that I have for my AI tool, right? So give me 8 suggestions for, can be anything, subject lines or um, campaign ideas for document management, whatever that is. And then you can kind of go through those responses, right? It's going to give you, here are 5 different ones. Here are 5 different options that AI is initially telling you or providing. And then you say, okay, which 2 do you like best? So I like option 2 and 4 the best. Let's refine it. And you literally type that into your prompt tool and say, I like options 2 and 4. Let's refine it by adjusting the tone, increasing the scope, whatever it is to get it more on target. So you have a list of options, and if they're completely wrong, you can start from scratch and say, no, these are all wrong. Let's adjust. This is why. Give you tons of options, narrow it down. It's part of the creative process. AI is just to jumpstart the creative process, right? It saves you tons of time when you're Googling best practices and what are the latest trends. It's going to give that to you, but you still have to refine it and be part of that conversation. It's weird because it's a conversation with essentially a robot, but it gets easier the more often that you do it. And I recommend just to get started, and provide the feedback that it needs and collaborate with the tool by leveraging your own expertise, your own intuition that AI is not going to have. Those are the things that you're really bringing to the table. And frankly, you're bringing some common sense to the table too, right? To set up an output to come up with the best possible final product, right? So here's an example. You know what's going to fly when it comes to your CEO. If you're going to bring your CEO some ideas, and let's say you want to put together a package and you want to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row, and you're asking, okay, at the very beginning, let's have 5 different ideas. You're going to be able to very quickly eliminate the ones that are not going to work for your business, for your customers, for your internal resource management. That's where you can apply your knowledge, your common sense, and your intuition to those outputs and really hone it in to come up with the best possible solution. eliminate what's not going to work, and then run with what will. Again, the same goes for your customers. If you have an idea that won't resonate with them, like, hey, that's not going to work for my audience, you know that, but your AI tool doesn't. So tell the tool why and ask it to regenerate more options or refine maybe one or two that you really like from the initial list. Being collaborative and providing feedback by being iterative, right? Going through this cycle of feedback and response to land on the best possible outcome is going to really provide you with great results in the end. So go into it knowing that it's not a one and done, I'm just going to ask it and then run with it. It's got to be more of a conversation to hone in and dial down what you need. Okay, here it is. We've discussed a couple of tips. We've reviewed some of the best practices to leverage AI best for creativity and brainstorming, but let's run through it. Again, these ideas, this grab bag of ideas, may not all apply to you, so cherry pick. What's going to apply to you? What inspires you off of this list? But that's really my hope, is to just provide some inspiration to kickstart the process for you and double down and see what you can get from it, right? So here we go. Idea generation is this first one. List your services and products and ask AI what other businesses in the industry are doing to generate revenue. What are their revenue streams? Ask. You're not going to know if you don't ask, and you can't lean on your own understanding for modern trends when it comes to this. Let AI kind of confirm that or give you new ideas. Ask AI to analyze market data and consumer needs to identify what you need to do to stay ahead of your competitors, right? Again, I've mentioned put in a competitor's URL, put in yours. What are they doing better than me? What do I need to do to my website to increase conversion rates? Whatever that is. What are they doing well? What are we not doing well? And let it do the analysis for you. I have to mention marketing campaign ideas, not the collateral, just ideas. If you're feeling a little stale, if you don't know how to write about a new MFP line, let AI kind of inspire you and generate those ideas and give you that baseline to build from. It's a great idea generation tool for you. Content creation, we're Evolved Office. I have to mention content creation here. So email marketing, blog articles, social posts, even things like video scripts are great with AI. Provide a list of options just to get your juices flowing, right? Like, what angles can I take in this marketing campaign, in this blog article? I know I need to write a blog article about document management, but what's the spin? Like, how am I going to phrase this one? Let it give you some ideas, and then you be the intuitive common sense that says, yeah, this is the one that's going to work the best. Bring your creativity to the table at that point to be that catalyst to get you to where you need quicker. Of course, AI can write the collateral for you as well. That's for a different webinar. Today's just about being creative, but don't forget that you don't just go in and say, write a blog article about document management, that you can really take a couple of minutes, do a couple more steps at the beginning to get an even better result at the end by really using and leveraging your AI tool to brainstorm prior to writing any of these marketing materials, blog posts, social posts, video scripts, etc. Personalized marketing. So we've said this over and over here at Evolved Office, and that is to personalize your marketing, to speak directly to your audience, and that audience needs to be a segmented audience. Taking that shotgun approach and hoping that something sticks is not how marketing works in 2024. It's not best practice. And by segmenting your list and really speaking to those audiences, you're going to have so much more engagement and so much more of an ROI on that investment in your marketing tools. So taking the time to segment your list, I know it's really challenging for most dealers, for most MSPs to segment down their lists into vertical markets, for example. If you need help with that, contact us. We can help you with that. It's It's challenging, but it's worth it in the end because you're going to see better results once you do it, once you clean up those lists and segment them out. But when it comes to personalizing the marketing, you can let AI really help you make this process much, much easier. Once you understand your audiences, the different types of segments in your list, ask AI, what's the biggest problem for SMBs in Tulsa or lawyers or law firms in Anchorage? You can ask AI to kind of hone that down and then say, okay, this is how we can solve that problem, right? We think we know the issues that these segments face, particularly the vertical markets, right? We all have this kind of conceptual idea of what each of those vertical markets is struggling with. Question though, when's the last time you did any research on that? When's the last time you asked your service tech who just went to, ABC law firm to service their machine if that service tech had a conversation with the admin to really understand the issues that they're facing that maybe you're not solving yet? Maybe it's an upsell opportunity, right? You're already in there with the copiers and printers. How do you upsell and really leverage your document management solutions? Or your managed print services, right? How do you do that? What are they struggling with? AI can kind of consolidate that, and it can go beyond just your typical, oh, they have issues, with compliance or record keeping or how to charge per print for their clients. We know those general struggles, but so do your competitors. So get that leg up on your competitors. Ask AI, take that deep dive, give us some stats, let's see what we can do, and really have a different message that speaks to them today, not that general overview of issues that we all kind of know each vertical market has, right? So personalized marketing. Design suggestions is next. This one's fun, right? Like this webinar is all about getting creative. So ask AI about design trends. What fonts work best for online versus print? Do you know the ins and outs of sans serif versus serif fonts? I unfortunately do, but you don't have to. You can ask, and it's going to collate it. It's going to give you some examples based on its own understanding of everything on the internet, and you can run with that information. Let AI tell you what's trending, what's best practice, and make a few suggestions, and then you can use those suggestions to your benefit. When it comes to design, same thing goes with color theory or balance or what's popular. Is it minimalist? Is it photorealistic images? What converts best on social media? And how do you design something to stay ahead and stand out in your local market? That's important, right? So let AI help navigate that for you. Okay, this is a fun one. Hang with me. Creative collaboration among teams. Ask your teams to make some suggestions about anything. It can be where you want to hold this year's holiday party, to anonymous feedback on management teams, to promoting a specific solution, service, hardware piece, whatever that is, like what they think needs to be next up in the marketing list, right? Upload your submissions to AI and let it determine the patterns or trends. Let it kind of give you some feedback and consolidate all of the feedback that you've received and give you a final answer to all of the feedback that you've received. That's a collaborative way of really using AI to your benefit. I know I've seen this too. I don't know if you've gone on Amazon recently and gone to the review section. There's like that AI synopsis of what all of the reviews are saying typically, and it'll say, oh, customers tend to like the durability of this product, but say that it's overpriced, right? It gives you that synopsis. It can do the same thing with your own internal materials, which is really cool. They're doing the same thing on like comment threads on social platforms. It kind of just creates a condensed version of that. Let it do the heavy lifting for you. Let I collate a finalized suggestion based on tons of feedback, or even offer an alternate option or two if to take back to your team if you're not feeling like it's the best possible outcome based on the feedback that you're getting. Another way that you can really use AI to your benefit when it comes to collaboration is to consider if you have three people that are working on different parts of, let's say, a proposal or a strategic plan, you can have all three people's input, pop it into AI, pop all three sections in, and ask AI to make it cohesive, right? Make it sound like it's one person that wrote the whole thing and not three distinct people. That happens a lot in business, right? You have different skill sets than I do. I have different skill sets than another colleague does. It's important for you to write about the things that you know best, but it's also important to have a cohesive final piece, and AI can help kind of make that happen for you. Think about how you can leverage AI to make collaboration easier for you. There's lots of ways to do that. Okay, enhanced brainstorming. Here's a question. How many of us have attended a meeting with an AI note taker present? If you've gone to a meeting with Evolved Office recently, it's been there, right? So lots of different kind of affordable options that AI can take notes within meetings to make sure that nothing slips, that deliverables are accounted for, that all of those ideas make it on the list, right? And they keep track of what's going on during those meetings. But let's say you have a brainstorming session and whether or not you have AI note taker present, you can either upload those notes, you can take someone's actual other notes that they're just taking on the side, upload it into an AI tool, ask it to read through the suggestions or the notes in a brainstorming session, and provide additional options. Like according to best practice, which of these suggestions is best? If you leave a meeting completely uninspired and you think that some of the ideas are falling flat, tell AI that. Say, these are our notes from the meeting. I'm not feeling inspired. I don't think this is as best as we can do. Based on this list, what are a few other options that we can do to have a better final outcome? And let AI run with it. It's really kind of enhances your brainstorming efforts. It takes an idea that worked in the past, you can do that and ask AI to modernize it, offer up some fresh ideas based on that. Basically, you can supercharge the limits of the human brain and get even better results by using and leveraging AI for better brainstorming tactics. Okay, we're close. Hang with me. A/B testing analysis. So A/B testing kind of sounds very scientific. It can be as complicated or as straightforward as you like. But if you try two separate strategies on anything that collects data along the way, so whether that's clicks or phone calls or likes or whatever it is, right? Registrants for an open house, whatever's collecting data, you can submit the outcomes and ask AI to determine what worked best. Now, I know you're probably saying, Carey, like, if test A got 30 likes and test B got 80 likes, it's obvious that test B worked better. And that's true. But you have to kind of go beyond that a little bit, right? So ask AI to identify the exact creative elements that work best to suggest new creative directions for future campaigns based on the data that you provided, right? So you can say, okay, B worked better because it got 80 likes or clicks or whatever that is, but why? It worked, but why did it work? And how can I replicate that later? It's one thing to say, this worked better than that. Cool, but what does that do for the future? What does that do for your growth and for leveraging and gaining on the knowledge that you found? It can identify what's working and you can replicate that later. Ask it to do the analysis for you, right? Okay, lastly, voice and tone adaptation. I say lastly because that's the last on this list. There's so much more that AI can do for you. Again, this is just a quick brainstorming grab bag, rapid fire of ideas. But let's talk about voice and tone adaptation. AI is great to adjust the tone of your content to match your brand voice while exploring new and creative ways to kind of present that messaging, right? So you can stay on brand, but at the same time, kind of venture out. So it still sounds like you, it's still within your brand voice, but you can get creative with it too. Experiment with different styles while maintaining that consistency within your brand. You can get creative and tailor your messages to those specific audiences. Remember, we talked about that with personalized marketing. One great example is if you're here, odds are that you know Mark Spring, our CEO here at Evolved Office, and he's got a very specific tone, right? He represents our brand, he is our brand. And by leveraging his voice, we're getting much more feedback off of any of the marketing that we send out. Because if it's coming from Mark and you know Mark and you've had a conversation with Mark and it doesn't sound like Mark, it's going to fall flat on an audience, right? So how do you do that? How do you replicate that for your own business? And think about that in a couple different ways. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So I hope that you're able to kind of look at these options and say, hey, I can just like throw in that Excel sheet from Evolved Office that I downloaded of engagement. Let's see if there's any patterns, right? That's going to cause some brainstorming to pop up. I hope that you're able to kind of see how you can apply this to your own business, to your own internal workings of what's going on with you, and really kind of think about AI and leveraging it in a new and more creative way. Okay, this slide may seem familiar, and that's because it is. I've used this in the first slide. I want to kind of reiterate that we are Evolved Office, so helping dealers and MSPs really leverage AI and automate their marketing is foundational to our work. There are tons of AI tools out there, but I do want to showcase EO Scribe just a little bit, especially in relation to some of those rapid fire ideas that we just talked about. EO Scribe is Evolved Office's proprietary AI feature, and it's awesome. It's different from other tools. It isn't just about writing or generating content. We've partnered with Jasper, who's leading AI content creation tool, to build EO Scribe. One thing to note is that we didn't just slap Jasper onto our software and say, hey, we have AI now. We did a ton of coding behind the scenes that makes it easy for dealers. It's specific for you. It's specific for dealers and MFPs so that you can, and MSPs, so you can leverage our tool and it can kind of get you there faster, because we have done some of those behind the scenes coding with you in mind. I really encourage you to check it out, and I want to show you how it works in context with some of the things that we've talked about today. Okay, so when thinking of those rapid fire, I'm just going to pause the video really quickly. Rapid fire, big ideas that we discussed. Here's a minute or two just to kind of look at how you can accomplish some of those things within EO Scribe. So you can see that we're just going to the eShots and picking the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. It's October. It is Cybersecurity Awareness Month this month. You have about a week left, so get a piece out if you haven't already. And if you click on any of the text or the suggested text here, you can click EO Scribe, this button here, and you can tell it, hey, I want to rephrase the content, right? I want to rephrase it. What industry do you want to rephrase it to? Tons of options here, maybe even too many options because the list is long. You can pick anything from K through 12 education, all these vertical markets that you're really familiar with. Finance, you can say, hey, I want to speak to people in California. That's my territory here. And you can pick just kind of the tone that you want, right? Is it formal? Is it humorous? Is it informative? Is it marketing tone? You can pick that tone from this list. You'll always be able to see both options on the left and right. And then you'll see the final, after you apply it, is right here in the middle of the piece, and it just replaces that suggested text. So this one, you'll see California schools. So this was K through 12, right? On protecting your institution from digital threats. It just rewrites it for the audience, and it speaks to that audience. And that's a really big part of what we do. Right? Then you can just go up to the title, identify that it's for K through 12 up here, save it. You can send it right now if you like, or you can access it in your edited shared file, and it's going to be right there for you. So you can very quickly in real time see if you take 2 minutes, as long as those segmented lists are ready for you, you can apply it to those different audiences. You can use suggested text. You can start from scratch. There's lots of options within EOScribe, but 2 minutes, speak to the audience. All of that is written behind the scenes, right? All of the code is behind the scenes. So even if I'm probably committing a webinar cardinal sin here, but I'm going back through this. So even if you don't put any kind of extra prompt, our written code behind the scenes is going to cover you for that, right? All you have to do is identify the what you're trying to do, if any industry, geographical location, and the tone if you want, and you don't have to fill out how you want to rephrase the content because we've got you covered. And that's the difference between Evolved Office and some of the other tools that are out there that do write content. Okay, so very quickly you can see you can apply this to different audiences, different segments. One of the things though that we skipped in the last video that I want to show you here is, let's say we pick out an events and prospecting piece. Let's pick out this copy or lease buyout, right? This is a general text that can be applied to anyone, right? But let's say that you want to kind of make some moves and make some changes on this and apply it in a different way. One of the things that you can do, again, you can do the same thing that we just did and just apply it to a specific market. You want to rephrase what's already written. You're going to select your industry. This time, I think we're going to do K through 12 here for education. That's an easy one. California is at the top of the list. That's the only reason we're picking that. Obviously, we have all the states and provinces available for you. We're going to be friendly here because educators need us to be friendly with them. They're looking for kindness, right? But the big difference here is that we're going to select a brand voice and we're going to create a new brand voice here. You can do that with Evolved Office. You can do several different brand voices here with our tool. So a couple of ways you can do that. You can paste content, which we'll show you in just a second. You can pop in a URL. This is great if you are, let's say, just adding your about page for the URL section. This survey form is really cool too. If you just don't know where to start, it's giving you some prompts to kind of help build that brand identity so that you can do that and build that out and flesh that out a little bit. But in this case, we're just gonna pop some text into the pasted content. One of the things that I really like about this is that if you have an email from your CEO, you just pop that text into the tone content by pasting that in. You name it your CEO's name. If it's a formal email, you can do that. You can say CEO formal, and that's going to save, and it's going to sound like your CEO just based on that email that you're popping in there. You can do the same with the service manager, really charismatic sales rep. All of your sales reps can have their own brand voices here in Evolved Office. What we're doing though with this one, for example's sake, is that I've just put in some Shakespearean language, right? We're going to call it Shakespearean. And that is just to give an example that everybody's going to understand. You create it. Now it's available in this drop-down menu item here for you. And you can apply that to the suggested text. You can apply that to text that you provide, that you write in, that we're not giving for you as part of our content creation monthly. You can see the before and after, and look at this. Shakespearean language. Greetings. Does thine current copy release impede the flourishing of thine educational endeavors, right? It's so cheesy. It's so hokey. And thank you for bearing with me. Admittedly, it is corny, but it shows the power of this tool, right? Because maybe an educator somewhere is really going to appreciate this. It's going to catch their eye. They're going to think it's funny. You're talking to that audience. And hey, give it a shot, right? It's not a monumental thing. It's one marketing piece. Let's see if it works. And then if it does, you can replicate it for other markets as well. Um, Obviously, this is just an example to show the power of the tool. I don't know if I would recommend it, but you can always give it a shot. For educators, I think it might, right? If for a specific segment, again, segmented marketing works best. Um, that might work. Who knows, right? Give it a shot. Get creative. See what sticks. And then you would just retitle it, save it, and it's going to be available here on your edited tab. So you can do as many rebrands of this as you'd like. Thinking of brand voice again, I totally recommend if you are if you have lists, right, for each of your sales reps, make sure that each of your sales reps also has a brand voice, because you want the people on those lists know that sales rep, and they know if that person wrote that email or not. They know if it sounds like that rep. So make sure that you have this available to really leverage. And once you've created it once, you can use it again and again. It's going to be available in that drop-down menu item with their name. Just label it as their name for that brand voice, and you can use it as much as often as you want, and you can edit it if it needs to be tweaked a little bit, but it'll live here in your Evolved Office account for later use, and I really recommend to kind of check that out. Okay. Thank you. You hung in there with me. I can't thank you enough for attending today's webinar. I really hope that you're inspired, that you have some ideas, that your juices are flowing, and that you can really start to think of AI in a little bit of a different way than maybe you have before. Again, EOScribe does a lot more than what I just showed you today. If you have an Evolved Office account already, please log in today, start playing around with it, create some brand voices, see what you think, and see the difference in that text. It really is going to blow you away. I promise you. If you don't have an Evolved Office account, feel free to reach out to us at support@evolvedoffice.com. You can contact me directly. Get in touch with us. We'll hook you up with a free 14-day trial so that you can test out the tools and see the power of Evolved Office in real time. Our next webinar, remember, that is about the teams and how teams can specifically leverage AI. So we'll talk about sales and customer support and other departments within your business. If you want to go ahead and register for that, you can click on this QR code, scan it, and go ahead and put in your information and register. We'd love to see you there. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, this is a QR code to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from you and stay connected and be on your team along the way and kind of see how you grow and maybe even how you leverage AI within LinkedIn. So that might be another topic for another day. Again, thank you so much for being here. Let's check and see if we have any questions, if anybody has anything going on. I know we have about 10 minutes left in the full hour. Don't mean to keep you longer than we need to. But if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. And yeah, I hope you've learned a little bit today. I'd love to see if you have any feedback, if you're testing this out at, with your next project, and just kind of put your toe in the water. It doesn't have to be the end all be all, but just give it a shot and see what works and see if it sticks, and let me know. Let me know. I hope that one day you will remember one slide or one thing from this webinar. You'll be able to apply it and you'll see really great results. So that's my hope for you and for this series, really. So not seeing any questions pop up. If you do have any, let me know. Let us know as a team. We're here to help you, particularly when it comes to marketing and marketing best practices and automation and segmentation and integrations. That's what we're here for. We love our customers, want to help you along the way. So don't be shy to get in touch and ask us. I do have one question about image creation that is within our tool. You are able to create and generate images for eShots. that is vast as far as what your abilities are. Um, AI is, it's funny, I'm sure you've noticed, right, that the content aspect of AI has kind of led the way, and that image creation is kind of a secondary thing that's popping up now, and it's just getting better and better. And it is something that we have within our tool, within Evolved Office, that you are able to leverage. And so it can read the topic, it can generate an image. You don't have to worry about specs. You don't have to worry about any other aspect of it. You just say, hey, I want my image to look like this. You hit enter, and there it goes. It's done. It'll fit within your piece, and perfectly align with the topic of what your piece is about when it comes to those marketing pieces. So that's awesome. Um, One thing, and Mark, if you are here, earmuffs, we do have something coming out as a sneak peek. I'll let you know that we do have what we are developing is called one-shot e-shots. To those of you who've been with us for a while, we want you to be able to put in a topic for the images to generate, for the text to generate. You just kind of put in your overarching idea for that, and then that e-shot is going to create itself. And we're really close to launching that. Um, Excited to see that kind of come to fruition. As soon as that's available, we'll make sure you hear about it, because it's gonna be a game changer for marketing in this space, so that you can just get pieces out, make sure that they apply to those segmented markets, um, and not have to spend hours and hours on graphics and text and time that it takes. We want you to be able to put in minimal effort for maximum results. And the way to do that is through automation. And the way to do that is through the use of AI. So we're really on board with that. Any other questions? My guess is that you may have a question tomorrow or next week. Again, don't hesitate to contact me, contact our support team. We are more than happy to help along the way, particularly test out test out the EO Scribe and see what you're able to do with it. We're really excited to not only about the tool itself, because a lot of love, it's been a labor of love to get it up and running for you specifically as our customers, but we're excited to see what you can do with it and what what you end up creating with it. So keep us posted and let us know. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much again for all of the time that you've spent with us today. Really hoping that you'll be here for our next entry in this series on AI for specific teams. And I hope to see you then. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.